Hello, and welcome to the No Wrong Notes podcast, a show hosted by me, Veronica Kokis, holistic voice teacher and singer just like you. Grab a cup of tea, relax, and sit back as we discuss all things singing technique, mindset tips, and more so you can show up as the most confident and creative singer you can be. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of No Wrong Notes. Today's interview is a conversation with someone who is near and dear to my heart, Dre Jackson-Hall. Dre is head choir director at Akins Early College High School in Austin, Texas, and we've actually been friends since we met in college at Texas State University. I guess this was back in 2011, 2012 that we became friends. I wanted to have him on the pod since he has had such an inspiring journey as a singer and choir director. In this episode, you'll hear about how music and choir literally changed his life and how he is now changing the lives of his own students at Akins. I gotta be honest, y'all, this conversation did not go where I expected it to go. Instead, it went in a direction that was way better than what I had planned and was way more inspiring. I come up with questions for my guests, but Dre's story was so inspiring to me that I knew I had to hear it all. There were some moments that really cracked me up, as you'll hear, but I hope that you can listen to this episode and be reminded of how life-changing music and singing can be. We live in some truly precarious times where things can feel really uncertain, but we all need outlets where we can experience joy, especially if that joy is created with others. Joy is radical. It is a form of resistance that we need. Dre is creating that kind of joyous space for his students, and I hope that his story inspires you to pursue what brings you healing and happiness, and maybe even inspire you to sing with others in your community. Now, this episode, like I said, is maybe a little bit different than my typical interview. It's a little bit more of like story time with Dre, which I really love. I really love sometimes just hearing people's stories, hearing where they come from, how they got to where they are, and kind of what makes them tick, what inspires them. And I would like to have more episodes like this, where I have people come on and share kind of what they've gone through and what they're currently going through. Because I think it can be really inspiring for all of us to hear. It can be very inspiring to hear other people's stories. But I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you want to hear more stories like this one that inspire you, that motivate you to be a better person and a better singer? Because that's what I felt in having this conversation with Dre and in editing this episode. It reminded me of kind of why I do what I do, and I found it really inspiring. And so I'd like to have more of these episodes. You can reach out to me on Instagram. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. But let's get on to this week's episode with Dre Jackson-Hall so you can hear his inspiring story for yourself. All right, I'm sitting here with Dre Jackson-Hall. Thank you so much for coming on the No Wrong Notes podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm stoked. I listen, I watch, and I'm just so proud of you and just to uh, be a part of what you're doing. I'm honored. So thank you for having me on.
Yay! Yes, I'm so glad that you can come on. Listeners that don't know us, me and Dre have been friends for a long time, all the way back at Texas State.
hmm
But for those that don't know you, can you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are in your career as a choir director?
Yeah, so what's up, y'all? I go by Dre. Um, I am a choir director in the Central Texas area, specifically South Austin. I teach a high school at Akins Early College High School. I absolutely love what I do. I love where I'm at. I love my kids. I love my team, and it's taken me I would say a little while to be able to say that. And so, I guess just to do a little backtrack, I was raised in San Antonio, Texas. I've been in choir since third grade. I actually joined choir because my music teacher at the time, Mrs. Musk, she heard me singing in the hallway. And at the time, she realized that when I sing, I didn't stutter. And so she had asked if I realized that. And of course, I got really quiet and I don't think I responded. And long story short, she realized at that time, I guess my confidence or the way I just kind of shined, right? Because as a kid that would stutter, I do remember a good part of my childhood being very quiet because I didn't want others to know that I would stutter just introducing myself, right? That's actually why I go by Dre because I used to have such a hard time pronouncing any words or names that start with the letter A, and actually I still do. And so to avoid that as a kid, I just started going by Dre because my biggest fear at the time was to like upon meeting someone, I stutter, right? And as a kid, I couldn't comprehend that. Didn't have any control over that, and and knowing now, like kids can just be mean, and kids laugh at things that are unfamiliar to them, right? And so at the time, I didn't speak, and so another long story short, Miss Musk saw all that, and by putting me in choir, I just gained this confidence, and it was around that time in third grade that I believe I started going to speech therapy as well, and so we learned to to speak by putting my words on a beat at times because I used to stutter every word, every single word. I mean, it was rough. I'd be like hi, and it was rough, and so we learned to put it on a beat, right, which really helps me now. Now at times, of course, it'll still happen. It's something that I'll I'll never be able to get rid of, and the older I've become, the more I don't want to get rid of it. There's a whole community of us out there, and it's something I didn't know until well into my adulthood, which is insane to me that I didn't know that others could stutter until I was like at least 21, 22. And so like
Wow.
young adulthood, but still way too like late. And so yeah, I've been in music. I've been in choir since third grade. I stayed in choir through middle school. I would say in high school is where choir really like changed my life. Choir is where I felt like I became part of a team. Choir is where I felt like I found my people, my friends. I finally found a teacher, and not that I was looking for one, but I found a teacher that was gonna hold me accountable, not only in the choir room but outside of the choir room. I had two actually, but or I have two. Miss Judy Welch, who was our head director at Taft High School, and then Mr. Rogers, who was the assistant there at the time. They really just instilled not even a love of music, because I will say that love for music it's something that I've had since I can remember. But they instilled a love of excellence while still being able to like remain your core self. Our choir was made up of everyone from like the popular kids to our jocks to our theater to our I mean the spectrum, right? But Miss Welch had a way of bringing us all together and making us forget all that, and labels were just kind of dropped and we were all just one, to the point where like even now I still there's a core group of us from that choir that spans about, I want to say the oldest one in the group graduated, I think like in '06, to the
Oh, wow.
youngest one in the group graduated in 2012,
Oh,
right? And so
wow.
it
Okay.
like
Yeah.
spans, right? And it's been really cool to grow up together because we all have our own lives and we all, like flew off and did our own thing, but we all see each other at least once a year. We've all been in each other's weddings. We've seen each other have kids. We've seen each other like really, really grow into adults. And it was the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful things in the world is my best man, Rick, we were in choir together, and during the wedding, he gave a little speech to our choir director, Miss Welch, who was there. And we finally, I feel like, got to like thank her and applaud her. And it was just such a beautiful moment for me because that woman is like a mother to me, and she really did help shape the man I am today. Not just the musician I am, but the man and the way I live my life and the way I teach and the way I love my kids, it's for sure. It's because of Judy Welch. And so from there, I went to UTSA for a semester. And then I left school. It wasn't the place for me. It really wasn't. To be honest, I went there for a girl at the time. What's really cool is that I even like that year, like spring of 2008, I tried out for Texas State. Okay, embarrassing story. I've never told anyone this.
Okay, tell us, tell us.
I was gonna save it for you because I was thinking about things. I've never told anyone this story except for Miss Welch because I blamed her. Okay, so I go to Texas State tryout. Celeste is with me actually. She's
Oh my God.
a junior in school, and I'm also with the girl that I'm dating at the time. And I go and I sing Jai Sole.
Oh
You know,
my God.
right?
Literally, I sang that for my college auditions. That's literally so crazy. I didn't
Okay,
know you sang that one.
I did. For that audition, I did. Okay. I give the accompanist my music, and I remember exactly who it was looking back.
Who
So,
was it? Who was it?
Dr. Eric Tom,
Oh my God. Dr.
um,
Thompson? Dr.
yes, yes.
Thompson? Oh my God.
hmm Gave it to him, and he starts playing it, and it's my teenage brain says, like, this is too low. Like, I'm trying to sing it, it's too low. And I was like, can you play it higher? He was like,
Can
he
you
looked at me
transpose
like,
on the spot? Can you transpose on the spot?
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm asking him on the spot. Can you translate on the spot? But the teenage me was like, you just play higher. He was like, I can only play what's here. And so I'm going to that audition and I sing it, but it's way too low for me. Way too low. Like,
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
bombing the audition. I remember bombing that audition. Okay. Bombing. And I walk out and everyone's like, how'd it go? I'm great. I'm great. And so I wanted to leave like immediately. I wanted to leave. Immediately. I didn't tell anyone like on the way home. I go back to school and I tell Miss Welch because she printed out for me. But I remember I was just rehearsing with the track and had the music,
Oh.
right? And so just never put two and two together. Um, didn't get in.
Oh
Didn't get
no.
in. Didn't get in. Um, but it's okay because I remember I don't want to blow up her spot, but the other person that was auditioning at the time, she didn't get in, right? And so she got into UTSA. I got in, where else did I got into another school, but I couldn't afford it. I think it was UT, and I didn't want to go there anyway.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, well, I could just go to Texas State, and then try out again in the springtime, blah blah. But all my friends at the time, it was a very like popular choice. Everyone was going to UTSA because San Antonio was it's such a big city, and I just felt like all my friends were going there, and so I went there. Um, Again, I stayed there for a semester. Wasn't for me. I ended up working for a year and a half. Within that year and a half, I worked as a server at Olive Garden. I went to a community college there. I remember paying my tuition in tips because that's what I had. I remember being so embarrassed because I went up to pay my tuition for one of the semesters and I had it in like a bag. I remember I had this like server bag that I kept all my all of my cash in, and it was this beautiful older black woman that was at the desk. I remember saying like I put it on the counter. I was like, I'm so sorry, and she was like, Why are you sorry? I was like, I didn't have a bank account at the time. I was like, I'm about to pay like a grand, and what in like coins and dollar bills, and she grabbed my hand and said, "You're doing what you have to do." And I remember in that moment, I was like, you are absolutely right. I'm doing what I have to do. I don't care." She counted it out with me. And I remember I just like walked away because I felt so ashamed. And looking back, why? I was paying my tuition in cash. Like, what the heck? Anyway,
Yeah.
I felt so ashamed at the time because I was already at a community college. It didn't go as planned. I had went from feeling so good about high school choir. I made all state. I was the choir president. At the time, my home life wasn't that great, and so choir was like everything to me. And then I go off to college, and it didn't go as planned. And so within that year and a half was a lot of not only like working a lot, but just a lot of like mental growth of like what do I want to do next. And I remember Texas State just like stuck on my mind. Like you need to go back there because that day I was there just felt so good. Like I remember we went to Grins um and then was also a big sign to me to go back. There was my first semester at UTSA. We went to Nats, and it was in Oklahoma. And on the way there, I guess the guys that I went up with, or whoever I went up with, they had talked a lot about going to San Marcos. And looking back, it was two, they were symphonians, and I didn't know that at
Ah,
the time. And that it just like San Marcos at the time just kept coming back up to me. It just did. And within that year and a half between UTSA and going to San Marcos, I worked I worked like doubles every day. I went to community college. I did 18 hours both semesters just to get like, a lot of my core stuff done. And then I re-auditioned for Texas State. I sang I needed two. Sento nel
yeah,
cuore?
sento nel core. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And I think, oh gosh, which is not my voice looking back. I attempt love sickness.
Oh yeah, I attempt love sickness to fly. The Purcell, right? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you still know my voice. Absolutely not. I don't know. But I did get enough time. I definitely got
I'm still trying to like envision you singing Giles Sole del Gange in the lower key. I can
a
imagine
little lower.
Giles Sole.
And like even
So low.
today it would be too low. Like I remember like feeling like I'm like trying to dig into my chest. Like, where are these notes? But I was still, and I've always been such like an animated performer. And so I remember still trying to like give what it was supposed to give, and I couldn't because it was too low. God. I've never told anyone that. Like, wow, that's so funny.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Embarrassing. And so I remember going back when I went back to try out, I was hoping that they didn't remember me. Like I was just hoping that it was like a clean slate. And I don't know if they do. I've never spoken to any of them about like, do you remember when I tried out? I don't. I went back. It went well. I ended up moving there with one of my best friends, Celeste. And from there, had a wild time. You were
Yep,
there.
yep.
I always tell people now for everything that we went through, for everything that I think every college person probably goes through. I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed getting to, I think San Marcos, sorry, I think San Marcos is such a great transitional town. It's such a
Yeah.
good place to go find who you are, find who you want to be, go through some stuff and mess up again.
Yeah.
I think you were part of such a pivotal point in my life as well. I mean, we took for granted the fact that we all lived like literally steps away from each other,
So
knock on each other's
close,
door, or just
right?
driving down the road and like really be together all the time. And
Yeah.
that for granted. And that's one of the things I love about teaching high school age is like knowing that when my seniors leave, they're still about to go into some of the best parts of their life. They're gonna have
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
scary because it's also like knowing like, wow, college was fun but wild, and I hope you don't do some of that, but also I know that you need to, grow and go through your own. Because
Yeah.
especially now, like now that I teach, I can see that my kids, especially when they walk the stage, they really think like they're grown. But I'm like, you have no idea. Like you are, you are a child. And so I think San Marcos and Texas State is such a beautiful, and for the most part, a safe community to grow up
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. No,
And so,
totally. I'm in,
yeah.
yeah, and I feel like when it comes to college, especially, going into music or anything in the arts, which is just so hard to begin with, like just going that route of life where everybody's kind of telling you, are you sure? Do you think you're going to make a living out of that? And I feel like we need these places to just sort of learn and grow up and build community. And choir can be this powerful space for building community. I'm glad for the time that we spent together at Texas State, and like, even now I still talk to you. I still talk to Celeste, Taylor, all of our other friends that we grew up with, and it's like
Mhm.
you being in choir, singing community, singing with others is just so important. And
Yes.
speaking to your experiences now, kind of on the other side of things, teaching,
Yeah.
how have you seen your students grow, not just musically, but as people through being part of a choir? I know you kind of touched upon this and kind of seeing them like walk that stage of graduation and being like, I'm grown, I'm going off to the next thing. But I guess, like, how do you get from where they're walking in as freshmen and it's like, you know, like
Yeah.
walking
Well,
in and going to that?
it's probably my favorite part of the job. And if I think about it too hard, I'll get teary-eyed. I've gotten to work as a middle school director, and I've gotten to teach a set of kids from sixth through eighth grade. And that was special. That was incredible. It was just awesome to really see like those kids that knew nothing, like what is dough, to now they're like the leaders, right? But then I'm now teaching high school. I'm going on my third year at the high school level in my third year here. But what's really special and why I tell everyone that wants to hear it is why I want to plant roots here is because of the kids. Over the last 2 years, and I cannot take all the credit for it. And I hear a lot of people say, it's you, Jay, it's you, which thank you. But I also believe it's the kids because I am nothing without those kids in this room. If they don't want to try, if they say no, or if they're off for a day, then I'm nothing, right? And so it's my kids and it's the community that I'm in. One of the most special things that I've seen here is that this choir, when I got here, and I say this with all the most due respect to every director that came before me, and all of that, like all of them, of course, because without them, the choir wouldn't be here. Like I wouldn't have had a choir to come to, but it was on its way out when I got here. When I got here, we were at three choirs, but to be honest, it was two because my third choir was a tenor bass choir with about four guys in it, and so it was a treble choir and then a mixed choir, and that mixed choir had sopranos, altos, three basses, and one tenor. And so it was really like, okay. And I taught those three classes plus three other piano classes to make it, like to make my schedule fit. And so when I got here, the kids truly, even though there were like 36 of them spread out within three choirs, they wanted to sing. That was the common thing is that they wanted to sing. They wanted more time on stage. Like my mixed choir's goal was they wanted to be on stage without having to use their music. And I remember looking at them like, so you want to breathe air at that point because those are like those aren't even I can't even call it a standard because that's just what we do. Like that's what I do. We're gonna do that. And I remember their eyes just being like I remember feeling like their eyes wanting to light up, but there was just like this reservation. And they weren't sure like of who is this guy and are you gonna stay and are you gonna, are you whatever the case. And so just like over time, like within that year, I made good on what I said I was going to do, right? I gave them, three pieces instead of the one or two. And I made sure that all three, like, were going to come, from memory. And that if we did use music, that's okay because plenty of musicians do. And there's actually a time and a place. And having to really, like, learn, like, that art, and then learning things like stage presence and learning things like how you carry yourself, especially if, like, what I say, like, if you're one of Mr. J's kids, you're going to carry yourself a certain way. That's not just in choir. It's in the hallway. It's at lunch. It's in class. It's like I'm the type where if a teacher is having an issue with one of my kids, they'll start to know that, yes, call parents and all that, but also call Mr. J because I'm going to get on that butt about it. Like I hold my kids to a level that I want them to be themselves, but their best selves. And I pride myself on that because you see these kids that come in sort of like me at times when I was their age, a hothead, not sure of things, kind of like would talk way too much and talk back or, like get in trouble here and there. And it was really, at least for me, it's because I didn't have a why. I didn't have like what does Dre want in life? Like, what does Dre want? Like I didn't have a reason to be better until I kind of found my niche, and that was choir. And what I know about myself is that I don't expect all of my kids to fall in love with this place, right? But if they're going to be a part of this community and place, they are going to learn a set of values and a way of and a way to treat each other, a way to treat themselves, and they're going to be held to, expectations. And what I've seen in the last 2 years alone is that these kids went from, almost feeling like they didn't have a voice around here to now being the voice of our campus. We're at 5 choirs now. Every choir is stacked, and they've just grown so much. I was telling my kids and my parents at our spring show at the very end of this year that I have a 5-year plan. And so far, we're ahead by 2 years on everything that I had planned for this place. And that's all because the kids show up and they just want to try. My kids
Yeah.
love being in the room. For lunchtime, they're always here. I'll literally be in a rehearsal, but it's another kid's like lunchtime. And so a group of them will just like walk in and they know, like, don't disrupt my rehearsal. And so they'll just walk in the back of it and they'll go, like, in the back of the lab. And they're here in the morning time. They're here after school. After graduation, about a month ago, it ended around like 10. And so I got the choir back to school around 10:30. And I told all the seniors, like, you don't have to ride the bus back, like go home with your families. And as I'm waiting to clear all the kids, I see a car pull up and it's one of my seniors. I'll never forget this. She walks up, and I'm like, what are you doing here? It's almost 11 p.m. And she had just said she wanted to just thank me again. And she said, I know it's only 2 years with you, but just for what you instilled in me. And I remember I told her, you could be anywhere else right now. Like you just graduated, your whole family's here for you. And they all got out to just give me a hug and to thank me for just being their teacher.
Yeah.
And stuff like that is my why, stuff like getting
Yes.
letters from my kids like this, like I'm gonna frame it, are like my why, right? My seniors
Yeah.
that take time to still do stuff that like we used to do when we were kids, in the digital
Uh-huh.
age, taking time to do stuff like this, it means the world to me. Everything that you see back here, it's mostly like stuff that the kids have given me. If you could see like my wall, it's all my kids because I want them to feel like they're at home. And they
Yeah.
and they do. And what I love is they'll send me posts of them just like being together during the summertime, going on a choir trip, seeing them just being kids together, seeing them support each other when, quite a few of them make region and then some don't, seeing them really like sit on the ground with their friends, like making sure that they're okay. And it's just something that you can't teach. It's something that is built. And one of my things, I have people ask me like, how do you recruit so fast, or just whatever the case may be. And what I've learned to say now is, because I used to not know what to say, I said I don't know. What I learned to say is now, is that you build the culture first, and the rest will fall into place. And it's so true. I want my kids to respect each other first. I let my kids know on day one, hey, I have a stutter, and we can laugh at it one time together. And then after that, it's rude because it's just mean. And then
Yeah.
I'll tell them, now there are times, like I'll stutter the wrong word. And when that word comes, we will know and we'll laugh. And like even that, like like I was like, if I was in middle school, they would ate that up, and
Uh-huh.
it's just this bond I have with
But
them. And go ahead, sorry.
and I think like you're really getting at what my next question was going to be too, is that I think about, these times that we're living in that just feel so heavy and like dark and just not good. Okay, it's like, just especially here in the United States, it doesn't feel good here. The vibes are off. And I think all the time, how can I do more for the people that I serve? Like, how can I help more people? Because I come back to like the Buddhist idea a little bit of like relieving suffering. Like, my
Yeah.
main mission is to help relieve suffering of others. And I'm like, how can I do that today? How can I do more of it? Because you look on your phone, you're scrolling social media, and you just see so much out there that is just awful. It's terrible. And it can make you feel really hopeless. And I think that what you're doing at Akins is just exactly what we need in these times. Like, it really seems like you're creating a culture for your students that I'm not saying is an escape from the world, but is maybe a way to keep moving through the world, right? Because I think we all
Yes.
need our, like you said in the beginning, you were like, I needed a why. Back when I was in high school acting up, I didn't have a why. And it's
Yeah.
like, this, you're helping these students sort of find a why to sort
Yes.
of like find some good in this world, which is singing together and singing, you know?
Yeah, and I we forget the power that we have as musicians, not to fix the world or like cure it,
Mm-hmm.
but to make it better for that amount of time that we're there, right? There, I learned to take my rehearsals out into the hallways, and here we're like in a fine arts building, so I have to like take the kids to like the main building. We'll do that one for exposure, but also too because I've realized how many times it's genuinely helped a kid or a staff because they just stopped with what they were doing and heard it, and they'll send me an email or they'll stop me like in a week or two and say, hey, like when you were in the hallway with your kids, like I needed that, or I need whatever the case may be, right? And then we also live in an age where the kids are just, I mean, adults, we're just like this all the time. We're on the phones, right? And so I think it's so important to remind our kids, especially my singers. As a singer, we have lyrics. So we have a job to do. Like besides delivering the music, we have lyrics to convey. And there's a way to like sing it and just like present it or to really like give it to them. And so I teach my kids that in order to do that, you can take what you're reading here, but I'd rather you go and live a little bit and then come back and bring that to my space. I want them to check the drama at the door, right? But also, how do we use that energy and bring that to the way you learn your music, right? Or how do we use the best parts of your life and for me, I'll say it, some of the worst parts to be better musicians, to deliver a message, to tap into maybe, a piece that we totally can't relate to, but I'm losing words here, but you see
It's
where I'm going
okay.
with that,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah.
see. Yes, I see what you're doing with it.
Yeah, and so I really I take my kids and their whole self, I bring that into my space, and I think I've done that with myself, and it's why I can teach confidently now because I have left education in the past, and I think it's because I hadn't lived enough life for me yet. And now that I've done that and I've taken the rest that I knew that I needed and I've done the work to find the space and the place where I can thrive in that I feel good showing up to work. I love what I do. And I know it's a very big time where we're seeing a lot of educators leave the field, right? And I get it. And that's no disrespect or, anything to them, but I'm in a place where I love it. And I know it's not forever. I know this isn't something I want to do forever, if I'm being very honest. But I love what I do right now. I want to plant roots here. And a big part of that is because the community that I'm in now. Because
Yeah.
they're an accepting community.
Yes.
They're a diverse community, and yeah,
Well, and I was going to say too, I feel like, what you were saying about going from, I think you mentioned like 36 kids when you arrived at Akins, is that
yeah,
right?
hmm,
Going from that to all the choirs that you have now, I
yeah,
think that, you don't just get there by being a good choir director, like in the professional sense, and like, holding your students to this example. But I think it's about leading by example on a personal level, like showing up as your whole self. Like, and I think that especially with kids, I think that when us as adults, when we show up and like we demonstrate that it's okay to make mistakes and this is how we can fix it, here's how we can change it, make it better, especially when you're singing in a group, when you're singing in choir, and like, yeah, okay, we're gonna have tuning issues here, and you know what, it happened, it's okay, let's go ahead and work on it, right? It's like we lead by example on a personal level, and it really seems like you're able to show up as your full whole self in this place, and that is setting a really good example for these kids too, and
yeah,
inspiring them to like keep coming back. They want to spend time with you. And I think it's like kids, I mean really anybody, like any of us, we want to spend time with people that inspire us to be better, that also encourage us to show up as our fullest selves, right? And that's kind of what I'm really
Yes.
getting at, is that you seem like you're at this point in your life where you feel fully comfortable showing up as your whole self, and that then in turn inspires your students to show up as their fullest selves. But I also understand that like none of us are kind of born this way. I feel like it's very rare that any of us come into this life like, I am my fullest self and I feel great about it, and going through life that way. I feel like it takes work to get to that place. So I'm
It
very
does.
curious, and getting a little off script here, but I'm curious. I mean, how do you feel like you've gotten to this point in your life where you feel like you're able to show up as like, this is Dre, and I'm unafraid to be here? I guess what goes into that?
Yeah, good question. Really good question. Well, I'm 35 now, and like everyone, I would say, I've been through some things, right? But one of the things that I've adopted, I would say in the last like few years too, is you can be a victim of your life and the things you've been through. You can be a survivor of the things you've been through, or you can acknowledge that you've been through those things, acknowledge how they've made you respond to the world around you, acknowledge some of the trauma, or not some of it, all of the trauma and the hurt and the way it may have jaded you. And then from that point on, do the work every day. And also know that there are days where you're gonna need to take days off from doing the work. Because no one, at least me, I'm not trying to work every day of my life.
And by doing the work, what does that equate to?
Yeah. Okay. And so for doing the work for me, right? Therapy was huge for me. Um, Therapy not only for myself, but marriage counseling, um, maintaining a lifestyle outside of my job, right? Other things that I've done for myself that are work for me is honestly getting into my spiritual side, whether that be, going back to church and then, kind of not going to church, but then also finding tarot, getting into African spirituality, and going back to like finding like my own roots and finding what my people did to heal or to pray and tapping into that. I also revert back to being a kid a lot too. I like to color a lot, and just like being by myself and doing things that like childhood Dre thought was too childish, or maybe for girls, or maybe whatever. I just unlock things and I'm doing things that I enjoy doing at all levels of my life, right? Like
Yeah,
childhood
yeah,
Dre loved to color, and childhood Dre loved to like collect like little things,
yeah.
Like I'm on a Stitch kick right now, where like I'm collecting these little Stitch things,
Oh,
and
nice.
at times I'm having him like, wait, Dre, like you're too grown for that. But I'm also like, wait, you're an adult with adult money, and I want that, so I get it, and it makes me happy, right? Things like staying on the water, right? Just finding
Yeah.
ways that make you feel calm and bring you back to you. That's
That
kind of
makes total
work.
sense. And I
Okay.
hope that some of your students are listening to this so they can be like taking notes and being like, okay, doing this.
Yeah.
He said I gotta do this.
So Mr. J's doing. Doing.
I
But
love
yeah,
it.
just
I
doing.
love it. Just to kind of round things out here, I could
Yeah.
talk to you all day. And I know we've kind of like hopped around with some of the things we've been talking
And
about,
I
and
talked
I
a lot
love
too. I can just like go off at the mouth. I'm so sorry. If I hope I answered
No, do not
your question.
apologize. Do not
Okay.
apologize. You've shared so many beautiful things about what's happening in your choir. And also, like, I think a really good example of, like I was saying before, in these times, people, I think, are looking for ways to come together. People are looking for ways to, connect with others in real life, like not just
Yeah.
online. Because I think so many of us are like so fatigued by just like online everything and discourse. And, when people, I've talked to people before, like, when it comes to singing, yes, I, of course, am a provider of private lessons. There are different ways of working with me, but that's not the only way you can share your voice. Join a choir,
Yeah.
audition for a show.
Yep.
And speaking of an audition, I think I would love hear some practical advice from you. What advice would you give to a student who wants to audition for a musical or that choir solo, but maybe struggles with performance anxiety, getting to some of this stuff?
Yeah, no, I get it, and I experience it all the time with my kids, and it's the advice I give sounds so generic, but it is what it is. The more you do it, the better you get at it. You just have to go out, you have to go out, you have to out there and just try. Just try. And that's and like even just try. That's what I ask my kids. Like my overarching thing with them is if you can just try first. You'd be surprised at what you can do. And what I see a lot with this generation is that they're willing to say I can't before they try. And so that's why my thing in class is you must try first. So my advice to them would just be to go for it. But to go for it means you have to prepare for it, right? Like you have to prepare. And so what does it look like? What does it look like for you to prepare for that? And so one, like knowing your music, right? And then two, don't let that audition be the first time that you sing it for someone. Sing it for a friend. If I'm the judge, you can't sing it for me, but like sing it for a friend, sing it for your parents, sing it for your dog, sing it for anyone. Just
Yeah.
don't let it be that first time. And then you also just like have to know and accept all the time. Know and accept that that like those butterflies are gonna be there. They're gonna be there, right?
No matter
But
what.
you can I think you can channel them to like go this way. Instead of being like everywhere, you can say, okay, if you're gonna be here, go to my audience. Like just project out this way. And it's this mental thing for me that was taught to me by my voice teacher in undergrad, Ron Yulin. He said
Oh,
just
wow.
project them that way. And I don't know why, but to this day it still works for me. And I also share
I
with my
love that.
I get
I love
nervous
that.
too, and we just have to
Yeah.
like project them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the more you do it, the better you get at it. You have to just try.
Right. I think that story you shared at the beginning too of going to Texas State the first time and then going back the second time. There's lots of good examples there too of
Yeah,
exactly that.
truly.
Um, but I did want to ask you before I go into rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
Do you have any other embarrassing singing audition performance stories, and how did you deal with it?
Uh, I often have dreams that I do. It's weird. I have so many dreams that like I get on stage and I don't know my music, or like I'm conducting and I never taught that song. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. But I don't feel like I have too many.
That's good.
Um,
That's good.
because like Judy Welch, really, she was insane. I'll say it. She was like sporadic, going everywhere, but she produced results. Okay, and one of the things I think because
Yeah. Yeah.
she taught us, or at least taught me, to show up prepared. And me and her had so many talks about life and showing up prepared in life. And so that's one of the things I harp on my kids about. If you're gonna show up anywhere, like show up prepared. Um, so I don't have any that are like embarrassing. One comes to mind when we did Donjo
Oh my
in
God. Okay.
undergrad.
Hello, dear listener. This is Veronica coming to you from the editing room, from the editing process. What Dre is referring to here when he says Don Joe, he's talking about Don Giovanni, the Mozart opera. Our opera program at Texas State did a modern film noir version of Don Giovanni back in 2013. So that's what Dre is referring to here.
And the first night, we were like the demons like crawling on the floor and they used the smoke machine. And we had never rehearsed with that. And looking back, why didn't we rehearse with it? We never rehearsed with it. And we're like dying, like we can't breathe. We're like choking in the smoke while it's opening night on a full audience. And it was the same night that I think like the smoke alarms kept going off during the show. But I remember like crawling and be like, like trying to like hold in the cough because I don't want people to hear me. And there's the orchestra playing and it wasn't. I also got kicked in the face because we're like crawling, but we can't see because we're wearing the mask. So someone's in front of me, they're calling, I kicked in the face. And I remember just thinking, like, get me off this stage.
I'm
But
gonna
none that
cry.
are like,
I'm so
none that are like embarrassing. Um,
Oh
yeah.
my God, that is hysterical though. I think I went because I wasn't in that show, but
Mhm.
I went to the performance and I think that was the one I went to because of the smoke alarms going off. They had to
Yep.
evacuate Evans Auditorium because it's like
No, no.
oh my God. Oh my God.
Have
Oh my
prepared, have
goodness.
prepared, have prepared
All
for this.
right, be prepared. Let's go to some rapid fire questions.
Yeah, I'm serious.
My first one is coffee or tea?
Coffee or tea? Tea. for sure.
What
Yeah.
kind of tea?
I am a good old Southern boy, sweet tea. Give me sweet tea.
Oh,
I've
okay,
gotten
okay.
so much better, okay? Because y'all, back in the day, I used to order a sweet tea. And this is what I'm talking when I was like a teenager, okay? I would order a sweet tea and I'd get some packs of sugar and still add it up in there. Like, let's get this sweet. Now at times I'll add water, like, well, it's a little too sweet, you know. But yeah, I just give me some good old Southern sweet tea.
All right, all right. What is a book that you recommend to everybody?
Oh my gosh, now um is it I just gifted it to Dr. Stephanie Reyes. Um The Creative Act, A Way of Being.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes,
Is it
yes.
The
The
Creative
Creative
Act?
Act by Rick Rubin. By Rick Rubin.
Veronica, when I tell you that book had me in a chokehold, I was like literally like put it down because I didn't want to like finish it.
Yeah.
I just kept reading it. It's one of those that I will for sure come back to every year, if not every 6 months. Like
That's a
for a
good
good
one. Yeah.
while. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
recommend that to everyone just to, if you're looking for a reset or if you're looking for a way to connect with yourself and what you're doing, go to that book. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mhm.
What is a song that's been on repeat for you lately?
Oh my gosh, lately, let me just look at my Spotify because
I was like, it could be, it's okay. It's okay if it's Nikki or if
if
it's
if
like,
it's not Barbie Dangerous by Nicki Minaj. Okay, so actually I've actually been trying to do a deep dive of 80s music.
oh, nice. Okay.
This just started like last week, okay? Because I want to
Wow.
like I want to do it correctly. But Back in Black by AC/DC has been
What?
like on repeat. I don't know why. And then Go Your Own Way by
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
that was from the 80s, but that one's also
That
been
was on the Rumors album. I literally was just talking about that album with another student the other day. We're working on Dreams in her lesson, and that's also on
love
that same
that.
album.
Yeah.
Um, what is your favorite summer song? Like, what is your song of the summer? Because we don't have a song of the summer this
We
year.
don't. Music
Like,
right now is a hot mess.
I
I think it's
know.
trash right now. I hate to use the word trash, like I feel like one of my kids, but it really is. It's just in
Yeah.
my song of the summer. It's an old one. It's Feels Great by Cheat Codes with Fetty Wap. And it's like a whole it
Okay.
feels good. And like the lyrics are so very like very basic. It's just
Okay.
about feeling great. And that's a very like summer song. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. What is the best place you've ever traveled to?
Um, Kenya for sure in Africa.
Yes, I forgot that you went there. That's an amazing. That's amazing. What is the best singing advice you've ever been given?
That my voice is mine and that no one else has my voice. You can, and this is with all the respect to our instrumentalists, you can go buy another instrument, but your voice is your voice and there will never be another one like yours. So you can learn to love it or not. And it was so like, or not. There was no other way about it. You can love it or not.
I
And
love that.
yeah, that was
Yay! Thank you so much for coming on the No Wrong Notes podcast,
Thanks for
Dre. It was
having
so fun
me.
talking to you.
This was fun. Veronica, you're great at what you do. I'm so proud of you. Like, you just do this so well. This was so much fun. So, yeah, thank you for
It
having me
was
on.
really so much fun. All right, guys, that is it for this week's episode. As I said at the top of this episode, let me know your thoughts when it comes to hearing these kinds of stories. I think that we all come from these different walks of life and we all have kind of something to offer, a different perspective. And I would love to maybe have more performers on this podcast, hearing more musicians and singers and choir directors' stories, kind of talking through how they got to where they are. Just because I know that, I'll have guest interviews on this pod that maybe provide some really cool practical tools and advice. Like I've had guests on this pod before offering up their expertise and their tips for how to be a better singer and performer. But I think sometimes too, it's cool to hear about others' experiences, especially if you're working to become a singer or choir director yourself. Maybe you want to know how someone got to that point in their career, in their life. And so that's where I think these kinds of episodes could be really fun, hearing sort of different perspectives, how people got to where they are. So let me know your thoughts on these kinds of episodes. I hope that you feel just as inspired as I did when I was talking with Dre. And yeah, that's all I've got for this week's episode. If you want more singing content, of course, you can follow me on social media. That's linked in the show description. If you liked this episode, I would love it if you could leave a 5-star rating and review. That helps more people find the show. And in the meantime, happy singing, y'all.